Can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
Grant with that jump shot's off. Long rebound run down by Hodges, and here's the King. That's a three.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Are you kidding me? Do you believe it? And the NBA Conference Finals, it's underway. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I am one half of that duo, Cole to the Johnson. The other half, recuperating, recovering, and doing fine and well, I may add. One, Mr. Brian So sends his love and his gratitude to all of you. And on the show today, we're going to review last night's tilt between the Celtics and the Heat, preview tonight's game one between the Mavericks and the Warriors. I'm going to touch a little bit on Deshawn Watson's upcoming, probably lengthy visit to the Shield's office and detail it in a way that very few, and I mean very few, not just in this realm, but very few, period, in terms of sports fandom will bring it to you. I'm going to have a summer of greatness, and a guest will explain that. And well, then on the calendar, I see it's Wednesday. You know what that means, but that's going to be later. But let's get to business, shall we? And before I get to the slate that I just laid before you, if you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/SIT morning, and you will get behind the scenes footage. You'll get special edition stuff. You will get things that you wouldn't get here. That is patreon.com/SIT morning for all of the extra stuff, and it supports the show. Now, if you want to be like my man Sick, who just said good morning to me and asked how everyone is doing, and I hope everything's well with you, Sick, and you want to be like my man KP, my man A Pizzle, my man Ryan, my man Andrew, Ethan, my girl Aunt Tricia, Teen A, that critical Broncos fan, and all those who contribute to the show, Cool McCain and Sam the Shady Sports Network. You want to be amongst the fam. All you have to do is go into youtube.com. We are live right now. youtube.com/C/Snowman in the Morning 50. That's Snowman in the Morning 50. You can do that. And you can contribute and make comments and be interactive just like Sick just did. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell to get any and all content that comes from Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Business. The Celtics and the Heat, they tipped off at South Beach last night. The Celtics, without Al Horford, without Marcus Smart, looked faster, looked sleeker, and they looked as though they wanted to run the Heat out of the gym. And then the third quarter happened, where you saw one steal after another, after a block, after another block. The defense converting itself to offense. That's really what the Heat does best in the league, in my opinion. And they coasted after that 39-14 third quarter to a 118-107 victory. Now, for the losing Celtics, you had Jason Tatum, who gave you 29, but he sort of slowed down in the second half. He was only 2 of 9 for the field and 10 of 21 from the field. And to say 2 of 9 from 3, 10 of 21 from the field. He gave you 8 rebounds and 6 dimes along with it, and 4 steals as well. So he had an active first half, but the second half he sort of tailed off a little. But I guess that's to be expected. Robert Williams III with an offensive performance, 18 points. Did not know he had that in him. 9 boards, 7 of them defensive, 2 blocks. He was huge in the first half, and I think if he can insert himself and assert himself in that role for the entirety of the game instead of spurts, I really believe the Celtics have a better chance of stealing a game in Miami and winning games in Boston. Jaylen Brown finished with 24 points, gave you 10 boards. And he was 4 of 8 from 3. So he had the hot hand, in my opinion. I think they should have tried to ride him a little more to the finish line, but they didn't. Pritchard off the bench scored 18. But you could tell in the third quarter, the Celtics were missing Marcus Smart and Al Horford. They were missing that defensive presence in the third quarter that sparked the Heat to score 39 points in it. And they had no answer. And when I mean no answer, I mean zero for Jimmy Butler. 41 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks. This man had a game. He had a full-on game. I mean, he was a beast on the offensive end. He was a beast on the defensive end. I'll say that again. 41 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks, 3 steals. I'm sorry, 4 steals, 3 blocks. This man was active on both sides of the floor when that is what his calling card is. Adebayo was in double digits with 10 points. He gave you 4 blocks as well. Vincent with 17. That was key. Strus struggled early, was in foul trouble, but he did finish with 11 points. Tyler Hero off the bench gave you 18, and the bench was pretty active, and they outscored the Celtics bench. To me, it is which defense can play better for a longer stretch. That really is what the key is in this series. We saw it. We saw it in the third quarter that the Heat, and they did such a wonderful job. They played the lanes. They collapsed in the paint. They closed out on the shooters. They were active. They were really, really active. I loved seeing that activity. But the playing of the lanes, it just made the Celtics rush harder, and it made them think instead of react when they were on the offensive end, because they had to see if someone was coming from behind the person they were passing it to, or from out of eye shot when they passed the ball and someone would come across them or come from behind them. The Heat, were really active, and this is what happens when defense turns offense. I know this will make my partner smile, and when I mention this was game 1. Third quarter, and actually the first 2 quarters too. This was how the 96 Bulls played. I'm not comparing the totality of the 2022 Miami Heat to the 1996 Chicago Bulls. No, I'm talking about it from this standpoint. You had a team that basically felt out a squad in the first half. They saw what you wanted to do. They pointed out tendencies silently. They allowed you to execute things in the first and second quarter. And then in the third quarter, they just had an all-out assault on the defensive end, and it led to easy offense. Breakaway steals, block shots, and sometimes even just straight long misses that led to fast break opportunities. When you allow your defense to turn into offense, it's a double slap in the face to the opposing offense. To the Celtics, it was a real harsh slap in the face because they had an 8-point lead going into the half and coming out the tunnel for the third quarter, and that lead evaporated quicker than fog on a San Francisco morning. It just evaporated quickly. Oh my gosh. Ben Sutter the third, how you doing, my man? He says Jimmy Butler went off. Good morning, by the way. Yes, Jimmy went off. And I really think Jimmy has to play like this. And it's going to be really difficult for him to average 40. But I think he has to be active on both sides of the floor, and he has to have a big presence on the offensive end, because you have a lot of bit players with the Heat. They know what to do, but you don't have one that will step up and say, all right, Jimmy, I will share the offensive load with you. They'll all say, I'll share the defensive load with you. You don't believe me. Okay, well, I just said with Adebayo, 4 blocks to Butler's 3. Max Strus, 2 steals to Butler's 4, and PJ Tucker got a steal himself. And Oladipo got 2 steals. They're willing to share the load defensively. It's easier, especially at home, for role players to defensively be active in the game because they don't necessarily need to score to make an impact. I mean, Adebayo only got 10 points, but those 4 blocks were huge because they were deflating moments for the Celtics when they would penetrate, got in the lane, and the shot was put up. Well, they weren't accustomed to having a big man that had the athleticism to leap and to swat shots. Didn't say they weren't used to shot blockers. I mean, they just came off of a series where they had to deal with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Brook Lopez. So they were accustomed to shot block. I'm sorry, my bad. That's the Celtics. The Heat accustomed to they just had to come off a series with Joel Embiid, although he was dinged up with orbital fracture. So they had to deal with that already. And the Celtics had to deal with Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo. They had to deal with that, right? So they dealt with shot blockers. They didn't deal with athletic shot blockers. And yes, I'm not saying that Giannis is not athletic. I'm saying Giannis is a little more perimeter oriented at times when it comes to defense. Sometimes he's solid in the post. But Adebayo, his main focus is rim protection. And he may not be the biggest guy in the world. He may not be the tallest guy in the world, but rim protection is what he does. So when you have an athletic rim protector, you have to have your eyes looking everywhere. You got to have your head on a swivel because you don't know. He can come from the right. He can come from the left. He can come from behind. And he can come from over you. Adebayo will block your shot. And the Celtics know this because they played this same team in the same series, the conference finals, in the bubble. So they're well aware of Bam Adebayo defensively and his prowess to make you feel as though you have a shot, and then that shot is done. And we saw that a couple of times last night. This series, I still feel this is the Celtics to lose. I still feel that way. And this is a simple why I feel this way. So name me the other guy that's going to say with Jimmy, I'm going to consistently take the offensive load off of you. Name me that Heat player, please. Will it be Oladipo? Will it be Adebayo? Will it be Strus? Will it be Tucker? Will it be Hero coming off the bench? Name me that second guy. None of us can, and that will be a problem. And if the role players come up short far too often, and we got a chance to see how the Celtics can take the number one player on the team and have him do what he does, but limit what the other players around him do, because Giannis did everything in that series. And if you don't believe me, and I will talk about this a little later, he did everything in that series. But that one player doing everything just was not enough, because a good team can overcome an elite player. And that's basically what it is. A good team can overcome an elite player. The Celtics are a good team. Jimmy Butler is an elite player. They can overcome him. They can't overcome the elite player that has help along with him. That's where you have the problem. That's where you have the issue. And that's why I say the Celtics, even though they are down 1-0, all the Heat did was defend home court. Now, I will say this, though. The Celtics missed a golden opportunity to take game 1 because they played a really good first half, but they played a putrid third quarter. They cannot play that bad of a quarter and be completely out of a game if they're going to steal one in Miami. They just can't do that. So the next game will be Thursday. Tomorrow night, tip-off is at 8:30. And I think the Celtics need to have Horford and Smart on the court. They need to have those two on the court because I think they need to feel as though they can have a defensive presence. If that is possible, then I think the Celtics' chances in Miami are much greater to win there. And that is just basically a motivational boost, a morale boost. the play itself, and I'm sure the head coach of the Celtics, Ime Udoka, I'm sure he will tighten up what they do in the half court because they made some sloppy passes. The person who it didn't matter who was bringing up the ball and who was throwing the passes. The passer, especially when it was going either cross court, more likely cross court in the perimeter, really, they were not looking to see if it was safe to throw a pass to whomever they were going to. And when you're that careless with the ball, and they were careless with the ball the first few minutes of the third quarter, when you're that careless, you can't execute and or you can't have those types of collapses and expect to win. Even if they pulled this in Boston, they can't expect to do that. They can't have a 4, 5, 6 minute lapse, not of missed shots. That's a given. No, of just straight up turnovers. They can't have that many string of turnovers and expect to win. It cannot happen. It won't happen for the simple fact that you just simply need to not make those mistakes against the Heat. What the Celtics need to do is they need to have the Heat play straight defense with them, not have them anticipate. And normally, this is what sucks about this. Normally, that would be ISO. I was like, okay, well, we won't move the ball as much. But what happens with that, though, is you have an active defense like the Heat. Well, they won't anticipate lanes and passes anymore. They'll just simply crowd the ball handler, and then they'll protect the two places he can go with the passes, with the defender on one side and with the defender on the other side, and then the other three will be keyed virtually on the ball handler, dribbling and dribbling and dribbling and dribbling, and trying to decide if he's going to shoot there or penetrate. The Heat defense is very wise in. If they were to go ISO the Celtics, I mean, they would just squelch that. So it looks like the only defense against that defense for them, gosh, I hate to say this, the Game 7 performance in the conference semifinals against the Bucks, where the Celtics shot 55 threes, that might be how they would have to slow down that anticipatory passing lane defense of the Heat. It has to be that they have to do that. They have to slow the Heat defensively down somehow. Somehow, some way, that defense has to be slowed down. And that's the only way you can slow them down, I think. But to have them take that many threes would be a little dangerous, I would have to say. But yeah, game 2 will be tomorrow night. Tip off 8:30. If I think they need to have Smart and Horford back in order for them to actually take a game. And I really believe they had a golden opportunity to take game 1 yesterday. It just didn't happen. Unfortunate, but that's just how all that rolls, right? That's how all that rolls.
Have y'all even considered the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo, yes, that Jimmy Garoppolo that everyone wants to send everywhere else, may not be sent anywhere by the 49ers because, I don't know, they actually trust him?
Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Cole Johnson here, one half of the duo. The other half is convalescing at the moment. At the top of the next hour, we're going to enter to Summer of Greatness, and I think my guest will elaborate on that further. But we're going to talk a little more NBA action. Last night, that was what that was. Tonight, tip off 9 p.m. Eastern, Game 1, Western Conference Finals, the Mavericks versus the Warriors. And I did not think we would see a matchup of the number 3 seed and the number 4 seed. Now, I did think I would see the number 3 seed in this case would be the Warriors. I did think I was going to see them. I did not think I was going to see the the Mavericks. The Suns, I think, really let all of us down in the ways of they played hard for much of the year, and then they pick the worst time to play the worst game of the year. And because of that, it cost them a trip to the conference finals. It cost them a championship. And now we have the Mavericks, who advanced to play the Warriors. I'm going to say this completely blunt and out there. The Warriors cannot stop Luka Doncic. Can't do it. Or I should say, there's only one way where they can, and that would be if he got injured. I'm not saying that they should try to hurt him. I'm not saying that they should try to go out and do some damage to him. No, I'm saying that the only way that the Warriors can stop Luka Doncic is if he was infirmed. That's the only way, because there isn't any way defensively that the Warriors can stop Luka. I mean, you could try to have a few guys waste fouls. This was a strategy that Phil Jackson would do if they had no answer for a big guy, where they was like, okay, well, we have 3 big guys, we can waste 18 fouls. I mean, that's the only route I could see Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Warriors, who was a player under Phil Jackson with the Bulls, would employ. I could see him doing that, but you really shouldn't do that. So there's an issue in how they're going to defend. I think that's the best way I could put it. Luka. Defending the Mavericks, especially on the road, especially when the Mavericks on the road, much easier. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's much easier for the Warriors to defend the Mavericks when they are playing in San Francisco, because they have to get on their bicycle. It's just that simple. The Mavericks have to run at them. But the Mavericks, they don't look like they did in Phoenix Sunday on the road too often. They just don't. So that's where you have to have the difference maker happen. You got to have the Jalen Brunsons be aggressive. You got to have the Spencer Dinwiddies be aggressive. You have to have your Dorian Finney-Smiths take his shots every now and then, and the Reggie Bullocks take his shots, and a Matt Kleber take his shots. You got to have them do what's necessary, but definitely Jalen Brunson has to be, like I was talking about with the Heat, in nominating the second guy who's going to consistently say, I will take a part of the scoring mantle and the scoring pressure off of you, Jimmy Butler. Well, Jalen Brunson has to be the guy to say, okay, Luka, I'm going to be the guy to consistently take the pressure off of you, especially on the road, in the scoring load. That's where you will have to make hay. Now, I will say this about how they can slow down Luka. The Warriors can slow down Luka by having Klay Thompson be active and Steph Curry be active and Jordan Poole be active. And I'm not talking about just launching threes. I'm talking about varying their offense against him. Make Luka play defense. I said slow him down, not stop him. But slow him down, make Luka play defense. And the Warriors are the best at doing that, really, because their offense is varied. I've said this often. They want to have a defense basically perform the basketball version of the cha-cha, where they want to slide the 5 guys into the post because they do all these backdoor cuts where it gets crazy. Then they want to shoot from the perimeter and be bombs away, and then have the defense inch further out to the perimeter, and then the backdoor cuts come again. That's what the Warriors do. That is what their normal, natural bent has been for the last 7 years. That is how they roll. So knowing this, you have to make Luka play defense. And I mean, you have to make him invest time to play defense. That's the only way this would work in terms of slowing him down, because when Luka has the ball, there isn't a warrior on the team that can, for 48 minutes, slow him down. Now, you probably say to me, well, they got Draymond Green. He's easily the best defender, and he could probably slow Luka down. Yeah, you could probably slow him down, but not for 48 minutes. Maybe for 5, 6, or 7, because after a while, Luka will probably figure him out and then get him in foul trouble. And you do not want Draymond Green, who is your defensive heart and the offensive traffic cop, who basically, and I say that Stephen Curry is the king of the hockey assist, and most of those entry passes goes to Green. So you got Green, who basically controls where the passes go in the post. So he defensively slows teams down. He offensively helps guide and helps center the Warriors, maddening, like I said, Princeton on steroids offense. This is who he is. So you can't have him be all on Luka all the time. That is where I believe it's going to be problematic for the Warriors when Luka has the ball. So if that is the case, what you have to do is you have to make the Mavericks beat you with the others. That really is the major key with the whole series when it comes to the Warriors defending the Mavericks. Make the others beat us. Luka will get his points. Make the others beat us. The first time I saw this defensive philosophy work, and I understood for what it was. I've seen it before, but I didn't quite understand it. But the first time I saw it and understood for what it was when Michael Jordan was making his ascension in the pantheon of the NBA, but he just kept running into the brick wall that was the Detroit Pistons. And he figured them out, I think, in 1989 in terms of, all right, they're gonna come with the thunder, but I could still with my own might get past them. They'll probably get some, but I'm gonna land some haymakers myself. So by 89, I think he got the opportunity to understand how to deal with their blows and roll with them. But he was playing checkers with them. The Pistons were forcing the Bulls to play chess, and they weren't willing to play chess yet, but they did 2 years later. And that was the defense I was learning. Jordan Rules, quote, was, we'll let Jordan cook. The others have to beat us, and the others won't. Bottom line, that is what the Warriors defensively have to do. They have to make Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith and Matt Kleber. They have to make Reggie Bullock. They have to make those players collectively beat the Warriors. Because Luka by himself, he can go off. So, but it would be Luka and ... So Luka needs the and I would say he would need 2 ands in this series in order for this to happen. To me, it would have to be him, Brunson, and one game is Dinwiddie, one game is Finney-Smith, one game is Kleber, and it has to be a rotating third between those 3. And if they could get that, I think that is where we will have the rubber meet the road. But the Warriors, you got Curry, you got Thompson, you got Poole. They will rain threes. They will backdoor cut and backdoor cut and backdoor cut them. And what makes it worse for the Mavericks, there isn't a big man that could slow down the backdoor cuts for the Mavericks. That is problematic. Six says, Luka Doncic is 27 and entering his prime. Unless the Warriors find or have a way to force him to do too much, how else can they stop him? Exactly, Sick. Exactly. That there isn't a way. There isn't a defensive way for the Warriors to stop Luka. Can't do it. Draymond is the only way they can slow him down. But like I said, he could get Draymond in foul trouble. So after a while, Luka will figure him out, and then it will become disadvantageous for your best defender to be on the best ball handler on the Mavericks for that prolonged period of time. So they got to send different bodies at him. And I think the Warriors have to also do something that I don't think they're willing to do, and that's to be physical with him. Because that's another way you can sort of slow him down when he has the ball. But no, when Luka has the ball, there's a thing they can do. There's a thing the Warriors could do. Now, what, as I said, they could do is they can make him be a defender. Tire him out on the opposite end. Make him defend. And considering that he has to deal with Curry and Thompson and Poole, and sometimes maybe all three on the floor at the same time, that might be trouble and might be problematic for Luka. Until then, I don't see that to be a problem for him. But the tip-off is at 9 tonight, Eastern. And I think we're going to see a good series. I personally think the Warriors will take him in 6. I want to be surprised, but I believe that's what we will see. Taking a break, and then when we come back, I'm going to introduce this concept called critical thinking. When it comes to Deshawn Watson and the NFL. So what do I mean by that? You're watching Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Back on the other side.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
when you want to talk, I'm here.
You're so right for me, and I'm right for you. I love the things you do, like sweet tasting wine. Your lips are so divine. Your loving turns me on. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go, babe. I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
All right, Dr. K, go on to official SIT Morn. This official SIT Morn. That's how you can reach us on Instagram and on Twitter. If you want to support us as well, go to patreon.com/SIT Morning, and you can get behind the scenes footage of all things Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Well, I am Cole Johnson, one half of that duo. Welcome back. The other half is convalescing. And as I said, he sends his best and he sends his love to all of you. Now, before we get to the second hour, I want to address one of the biggest elephants in the room for the past year plus in not just the NFL, but in just sports in general. So Deshawn Watson is set and due to visit the NFL offices for a lengthy meeting. And that was the verbiage, lengthy meeting. And why, you would ask? I mean, there could be no possible way that the NFL could punish him because, well, his case went through 2 Texas grand juries and they both found him to have no charges that were criminal. So because there's no criminal charges, well, that shouldn't be. Aha! That's where you're wrong. You have to understand something. When the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, came into the fold, I think, and you all can correct me, I think it was either 2004, 2005, 2006, but I think it's 2004, 2005. When he came to the fold, then one of the things he promised was that he saw that there were legality issues when it came to players sort of skirting the law and getting in trouble. And the players had issue with it. The owners definitely had issue with it. And Goodell basically made himself a sheriff. And he was going to clean up the league. And he instituted a really tough policy in terms of players who just did not conduct themselves in a professional manner. So let's jump to this case here with Deshawn Watson. He's visiting the New York offices because of this reason. For those who were under a rock, Mr. Watson decided to have some massages. But this is coming after a year where he threw for almost 5,000 yards, a year where he completed every pass for at least 8 yards, which that's a very good yards per throw average. And I think he threw for 26 touchdowns and 7 picks. So he had a good season on a horrible team. And the reason why it was horrible was because the outgoing head coach, Bill O'Brien, gutted the team of its stars and also gutted the team out of its draft picks. So seeing all of this and seeing that the team turned from a title contender to a team that is on the rebuild within a year, Deshawn felt as though he was on a limb. And so he curried the ear of the owner, Cal McNair. And McNair said that, if there was going to be any decisions that the team would make, they would run it by him. Well, when it came to, I think it was the decision of GM, they did not run the decision by him. And after that, that was the last straw for Deshawn, and he decided to hold out. That was January of last year. February of last year, when the calendar turned February, Mr. Deshawn Watson looked up and he saw there was 22 women who wanted to file a claim and lawsuit against him. All of them for improper sexual misconduct due to massage therapy. So let's cut to today, which now is 15 months later. So Deshawn sat in court and he testified during a pretrial deposition. And he said that one of his encounters with the massage therapist ended with a woman crying. And then it followed by an apology by him sent to her by text message. Now, Watson left the place where the massage happened. And he sent the text message and he apologized about how it all went afterwards, saying, quote, "Sorry about you feeling uncomfortable. Never were the intentions. LMK if you want to work in the future. My apologies." Close quote. Now, LMK means let me know. Now, this verifies a portion of one of the women's claims against him, and it raises the question of whether or not the tears that poured down her eyes was about anything that Deshawn did improper. So Deshawn said he didn't know, but according to the opposing attorney, Tony Busby, he said the woman is suing Watson for civil assaults and claims in the lawsuit that he purposely touched her with his penis during the massage. It scared her and it caused her to cry. Now, I'm going to address this to those who are saying, well, there's much ado about nothing. I remember doing a video on Cole Sports, and I got lambasted for this when I said that he was found to not be criminally nefarious with these encounters. But he is guilty of one thing. Mr. Watson is guilty of bad judgment. Pure, plain, and simple. He is guilty of bad judgment. He should not climb into DMs. He should not slide in anybody's DMs for private massages. I have said that before. I will say it again. And man, did I catch it from Ebony Twitter. I caught it hard. But I don't care. Being a mature man that I am, if I'm going to do a massage, I want to have it above board. I don't want to do it where it's private in terms of, well, I'm doing it at somebody's home, or I'm doing it in a building, or I'm doing it in a place, where it doesn't have the equipment necessary. I'm going to do it where it's team sponsored, or I'm going to do it where it's going to be sort of team recommended, but it's professional. I don't necessarily need personal massages. Man, people came after my neck. I was like, this man is found innocent. No, the man wasn't found innocent. The man just won't be charged with anything criminal. This dude still has 22 civil lawsuits filed against him. Still. And he's not out the woods with NFL yet, because they're probably going to suspend him too. No, they're not going to suspend him, they said. They're not going to suspend him because he didn't do anything criminal. No, he did not. But like my partner and I have said, what he did do is considered, and say it along with me, gang, because I know you will, quote, conduct detrimental to the league, close quote. Six said, basically, players were alleged to have been involved in actions unbecoming of an NFL player, has reflected badly on the league and the players' union. And I think it's reflected badly on Goodell, too. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it has. And because of it, people are thinking that Goodell came down too hard. And that's part of the reason why, and this is so backwards. That's part of the reason why you have a lot of people who boo him when it comes to these large gatherings. He gets the Bronx cheer because they think that basically Goodell has it out for every player because he is proven to be the puppet of the owners. And because of that, part of that puppeteer from the owners thing is the conduct that he is the conduct mandate he has laid forth. Sick also says Goodell saw it as his mission to clean up or protect the league and the NFL brand. Yeah, and it still does. Sick also says who remembers Goodell making an example out of Michael Vick or his mishandling of the Ray Rice incident? To me, the Ray Rice incident, that's where Goodell was like, he will forever look bad to me because he was 1,000% reactionary in that whole thing. 1,000% reactionary, and then he was 1,000% reactionary with Michael Vick. But the thing was, the sentiment was in favor of punishing Michael Vick. But I'm like, well, I don't know what's more punishment than having him be in jail for a few years. The NFL can't punish him any harder than that. So, yeah. And then, yeah, Ray Rice is like, well, yeah, we know there's an incident that happened in an elevator. And yeah, he was carrying his wife out, and that was it. The man had full tape and saw Ray Rice put his girlfriend at the time, and I think they're now married, to sleep in the elevator. And then all of a sudden, we had a talk and everything's fine turned into, oh yeah, we need to put the hammer down on him. I'm like, well, it's too late now. It's too late now. K Peeps, what's up, brother? He says, good morning, fam. And Sick says, good morning to you. K Peeps. Sick says, how about Goodell dropped the ball regarding Josh Brown, man? Sick, you and I could go back and forth about how many times he's dropped the ball with many different players and many different instances. But I tell you, it's ridiculous. So before I bring on the Summer of Greatness segment, here is what is problematic with those saying, well, Deshawn didn't do anything criminal. You don't have to do anything criminal here, because the expectations of standard and conduct, the first sentence that this is sent to every NFL player. The first sentence is, it is not enough simply to avoid being guilty of a crime. And it goes on to say, but even if the conduct does not result in criminal conviction, players found to have engaged in any of the following conduct, and there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 of them outlined, will be subject to discipline. Prohibited conduct includes, but is not limited to, one of them is assault and or battery, including sexual assault and other sex offenses. And another is conduct that undermines or put at risk the integrity of the NFL, NFL clubs, or NFL personnel. Well, look at that. Look at what I said. Because I said back then, he's not out of the woods yet because the NFL is going to want to punish him. It's just that simple, that plain. And his D-Day is coming. KP says to Sick, what's up? My boy, what's up? What's good? So in this meeting, expect the terms to be laid out. KP says, I need to jump on and collaborate one day on your show. All right. Mark that down. We definitely going to do that, brother. The details have been laid out. It's been laid out smooth. It is now about how many games he's going to get suspended for. And I said that he was going to undergo being suspended no matter when he decided to set foot on the field again. Suspension was coming because this whole thing is conduct detrimental to the league. Conduct detrimental to the league. Ebony Twitter, I'm waiting for your apology. Come on. The power to the people crap does not apply here. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You can't have that many civil suits and think you're going to get away with it. 6 says, in the case of Ray Rice, both he and his then fiance, now wife, were both charged and booked after the elevator brawl. Yeah, because I think her was probably because it was doggone, I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically just cause a ruckus, cause a scene, and of course battery for Ray Rice. That was just a sick thing altogether. But expect a suspension from one Mr. Deshawn Watson. Expect that. Expect it. You are now inside hour number 2 of Snowman in the Morning. I'll be right back, and we're going to have a summer of greatness.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
First and 10. Luck steps up, fires towards the end zone. One-handed catch! Mo Alley Cox!
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait! Are you kidding me? Do you believe it?
Hour number 2 of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson is underway. Welcome back. I am Cole Johnson, one half of that duo, and the other half is convalescing and doing quite well, I may add. And Brian says hello to all of you. So I did mention in the description, I also did mention on the mic, we're entering the summer of greatness. What does that mean? Well, I think my next guest will be able to describe that much better. Welcome the orchestrator, the administrator of the Fifth Down Sports Show, the one, the only, my boy, Chris Dietz. How you doing, my man?
Hey, how you doing, Cole?
Man, everything is good. I'm really enjoying this, man. And welcome back, man. It's been a minute, and I'm so glad that you've returned back.
It has been a while, but the draft is over, and as you said, the craziness with Deshaun Watson is going to be what it is. The NFL is going to make up its own rules. So, I mean, we've been following it on the Fifth Down Sports Show, and we pretty much just throwing our hands up, saying, they're going to make up whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
I mean, apparently they have better investigators than the police. They're better at their job than the DA's office. So
yeah.
I don't know what they're trying to do there, but that's where we come in, and we're saying it's summer. It's time to have fun.
Oh man, I love to hear that.
In this day and age where Facebook and Twitter, they drive the narrative. We came up with this the first year we did the Fifth Down Sports Show. We're now in season 5, so it's our 5th running of this. It's changed over time, but the point has not changed. That we'd come up with the summer of greatness, where we talk about take a category and we talk about what's the greatest of that category. Example of that is we'll start it. We start it tonight because we're going to do it every week in the summer. Every Wednesday, we will have a different topic and we will talk about who's the greatest. Now, why do we do that? Because people have changed. People want to say favorite, best, and greatest, and they want to lump them together. They're 3 different words for a reason.
Yes.
So we look at the greatest. What does it mean to be the greatest? People will say, "Well, he's the best, so that means he's the greatest." No. Just because you're the best at something doesn't mean you accomplished doesn't mean you accomplished the most. Just because you're the greatest doesn't mean that you were the best it didn't mean you had the best ability.
Right.
Best, greatest, and favorite are 3 different words. The best way to do this is to talk about the NBA. I know you guys love the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I can sum this up. The NBA. My favorite player of all time is Reggie Lewis.
Yep.
That doesn't mean he was the greatest player. It means he was my favorite. I liked watching him. I grew up watching him. He was my favorite. He'll always be my favorite. But in no way, shape, or form would I ever put him on a list of the greatest of all time.
Right.
So favorite means something. Best, to me, Kobe Bryant was the best basketball player I've ever seen. Meaning his skill level at all the skills needed to play basketball, when you put them all together, Kobe Bryant, to me, was the best. He could jump the best. He could shoot. He could defend. He could do, and check the box. Kobe's going to be pretty high on that list, to me. However, when somebody asks me who's the greatest basketball player I've ever seen, it's Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
He accomplished the most in the game. That's how it works. So that's what we talk about with the summer of greatness. We take our topic and we break it down and we go, all right, well, who's on our list? We make a list. And for those of you that are new to this, tune into the Fifth Down Sports Show. We are going to do this every single week with every single topic. We will, and we're, I know it says Fifth Down Sports Show, but we're going to be all over the place with this because it's summer and we want to have fun. So we're going to have, obviously we're going to do our sports stuff. We're going to do our best NFL player, best NBA, best this, best that. But we're also going to do best comic book character, best cartoon show, best TV show, best movie. And what we do is we make our list. We come up with 16 different guys, and we throw them in a March Madness style tournament. And head to head, we take the abilities that we say make up that person. So if we were doing NBA, it would be, who's the best passer? Who's the best shooter? Who's the best dribbler? Who's won the most championships? Who's the best to have in the regular season? Who's the best to have in the postseason? And we'll put head-to-head matchups of our top 16 until we get a grand champion. And at the end of the Summer of Greatness, we will have what we call the Champions Tournament, where all the champions are thrown together. And at the end, we have a grand champion. And of course, we will have, we're going to do 31 of these tournaments over the summer because it's a 32-man tournament, but Tupac won our Champions of Champions, so he has the belt, so he has the champion's advantage where he's already in. He's grandfathered in. Somebody's got to beat him.
Okay.
So that's how we do. And like I said, it started out as just I got tired of people asking me, well, who's the best? This person's every time somebody would ask me, who's the greatest? They'd say, well, this guy's the best at this. Well, this guy's the best at that. And I'm like, best and greatest, they're not the same word. They're two different words. We got to get out of that mentality. And way too many people not just Facebook, it's bled into the media. The media loves to talk about, well, this guy's the best at this, so he must be the greatest. And I'm like, no. I'm like, just stop. You can't mix these two. The other debate, which, I mean, we're not going to have it on the show tonight we're lumping. We did quarterbacks 2 years ago. We did running backs 2 years ago. But running back, to me, NFL running back is one of the hottest debates where people love to tell me, "Oh, this guy's the best. This guy's the best." And to my friends out there who I've had debates with this. Everybody loves to point out Barry Sanders. Look, Barry Sanders is the most skilled running back I've ever seen.
Same.
But Emmitt Smith is the greatest running back of all time. You want pure proof of that? Go look at 1993. Just look up the 1993 season.
Heck, you don't need to look 1993. Just look at the last regular season game of 1993.
the last game, the playoff
run after that.
He just ran wild. I mean, you look at that season and you go, wait. And everybody likes to tell me, well, Emmitt Smith had a great line. That the only reason Emmitt Smith had everything was because of his line. Guess what? The Dallas Cowboys in 1993 were 0-2 without Emmitt Smith, and they went 12-2 with him, including a Thanksgiving game which Leon Lett decided to go Leon Lett. So they would have been 13-1. They would have been 13-1 if not for Leon Lett.
I love Leon Lett.
And you bring up that last game. That last game in '93 is what seals the deal for me, as far as Emmitt Smith. And again, we can when we mix these words up. Emmitt Smith is my favorite player of all time. That doesn't have anything to do with how great he was. It just has to do with my favorite.
Yeah.
He happens to be my favorite.
Yeah.
But why he's the greatest is because with a separated shoulder, he ran for 200 yards and 40 of them in overtime in a game that mattered. In a game that won them the division, ends up giving them the bye week, and sets up a Super Bowl run.
Yeah, and gave him home field too throughout the playoffs. It's funny you actually say that. It is funny you actually say that because there was a conversation I heard. No, it was an interview that I heard with Larry Bird, and he actually was quoted as saying, "Well, you know, Michael Jordan is the greatest player I've ever seen." And so the interviewer asked, "Well, wait a minute. You've had this rivalry with Magic all this time. Why isn't it Magic?" He says, "No. Magic's my favorite player. He's my favorite player to watch, but Jordan's the best, the greatest I've ever seen." Favorite player and greatest player are two different things. That came out of Larry Bird's mouth. And this was back in 1991 when he said that. So he actually got your memo long before you all did this. I'm loving this. Summer greatness. All right. Well, before I ask another question, let me get to the chat here. Sid clarifying the Janae Palmer / Ray Rice situation. Thank you, brother. He says, in the case of Ray Rice, both he and his then fiance, now wife, were both charged and booked after the elevator ball because she spat in his face and came charged at him along with being drunk and intoxicated in public and was disorderly. Correct. My man K Peeps is like, summer greatness is coming. Let's go. I love that. Ryan, good morning to you, sir. I hope everything's well with you. And he says, everyone watching, happy Wednesday. And he says the same thing to you, Sick. And of course, Sick in return says, what's happening, Ryan? Good morning, big man. And he goes on to say, I grew up playing soccer. Most people would say that Diego Maradona was their favorite player in soccer, and Pele is the greatest in the world at soccer. And Andrew, what's up, brother? He says, good morning. All right. So you said that this is not just going to be, well, your show will fit down as sort of alludes to football. So this list is not geared just toward football, and this list is not geared just towards sports. Why did you want to diversify the field?
Well, we diversify the field because we we get so caught up in doing and we get so caught up in football between August to February. We get so caught up in football, and then our show is so draft oriented because of obviously I'm on this show for college football, so I love the draft. The draft is my one of my favorite days, and we did a live draft the other day. We were live during the draft, and I love that. But it's to get a break away. I mean, we're not just. It's to showcase. We're not just sports. We're not just sports. We're not just, hey guys, we watch sports and we talk sports. It's we do other things, and I love getting the off the wall topics. Anybody that calls into my show can suggest a topic. I try to come up with the ones I like, but I mean we've had people call up, and I know last time we had best boy band as one of ours, and I was like, do you know who you're at? I was like, what do you do? I was like, do you understand who we are? I have no idea what we're talking about with this, but we're gonna roll with it anyway. And it's things like that. I love to showcase the fact that even though we're sports guys, we can do other things. We can multitask. So it adds an element to it, that because we did that the first season, and like I said, this has been a 5-year process. The first season, we stuck with just sports, and I could do 40 weeks of sports greatness. But that's cutting off. It's cutting off our lips to spite our face. Like, why not open it to everybody? And that way, we'll get people sometimes. We'll get people who like rock music. We'll get best rock band. We already have one up there, best rap group of all time. Mm-hmm. Which is one of the highly which when I did my show Trinity Gauntlet, that was one of our highly debated topics, was who's the best rap group of all time. And we had ours. We had callers that came in and called different. But that was how we did it in the old days, was, all right, we're just going to come up with a list and let's see it. Now we get to put them head to head. I love the head to head challenge. It makes it so much more fun. It makes it so much more, instead of just saying, well, best quarterback, well, it's going to be Tom Brady no matter what. That's why we came up with the tournament idea, because I was tired of everybody just Tom Brady right off the top of the list, and then we're done. And of course, when we did greatest quarterback and we did the tournament, who wins it? Tom Brady.
Of course.
So it sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, I pretty much figured it would be. You mentioned to me there are those athletes you just mentioned where it's like, okay, it's going to be hard to have that be top. Like you mentioned Ali, you mentioned Wayne Gretzky, you mentioned Tom Brady, you mentioned Babe Ruth, you mentioned those athletes. Almost everybody and their mom's going to say, well, that athlete can't be topped. So Brady has now become one of those where it's like he cannot be topped. Although I disagree with that thought, but most others don't.
It's like Major League Baseball pitcher. I mean, everybody likes to say, and you have to sit there and go, it's got to be Cy Young. They named the award after him. I mean, come on.
I agree. the most win still of all time, but yes, he doesn't ever get mentioned. Yeah, I agree. KP says best doesn't equal obtainable greatness. I agree with that. He also says being the best is the present. Being the best is the present of trying to become great, in which you haven't reached the heights or depths of greatness. Yeah, like for example, LeBron would be considered, and we'll talk about him. I will talk about him in Bronze Sexual Confessions and the bottom of the hour. He would probably be considered the best at the moment, but you can't really put him in Jordan's class because Well, Jordan has retired and LeBron is still playing. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, we've talked about this many a times on the show, and it's why I wanted to bring it to you guys, because I love what you guys do with the LeBron segment that you guys have. I love what you guys do, because people always want to tell you LeBron does this, LeBron does that, LeBron, and then you look at him and you're like, wait. What does LeBron do that's better than what? To me, what does LeBron do that's better than what Kobe like?
Yes.
That's what gets me is Kobe's skill level was so good. LeBron may be a better passer. He may be a better. The fact that he's 6'5", 230. I mean his athleticism. LeBron's the most athletic person I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he's the most athletic basketball player ever. Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's the best basketball player. He may be the best chase down blocker of all time, but he's not the best defender. He's not the best shooter. He's not the best dribbler. Yeah. So where does he go on the list? That's always the argument I have with LeBron fans in public. Is I have to bring that up to him. I'm like, wait a minute, what does he do that's best? What does he do the best out of anybody? Yeah. He's not the best on any list.
Yeah.
Any list, if you put out the skills it takes to make a champion, LeBron is not even on. He's not even a top 10 on that list.
Yeah.
When you put the skills out there.
I've said this often. I said LeBron, jack of all trades, master of none. And that is why I have a hard time saying no. But then again, we'll probably be revisiting this next year when he becomes the most prolific scorer of all time. People will say, here, he's the best at scoring. No. He's still not the best at scoring, because they don't consider Kareem currently the best scorer of all time.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about it all the time on my show. I come on your show and talk about it. They changed the rules because of Kareem.
Yes.
They changed the rules to limit what Kareem could do. They had to change the rules. For the 4 years he was at UCLA, he couldn't dunk.
I say this often.
He's not allowed to do it.
I say this often. There isn't a debate in my mind. Greatest college basketball player of all time. Well, he was called Lou Alcindor back then. For that very reason, I was like, man, he was yamming it on people. The NCAA said, okay, we're gonna make the playing field level. We're not gonna allow dunking. And what did they do? They lose one game and win a national championship on Kareem's way out the door.
and they make a rule. They make a rule to change what Kareem does. And what does he do? He invents his own. He invents his own skill of a sky hook. There was no one ever did a sky hook before Kareem. Kareem invented it because they wouldn't allow him to dunk.
Oh, he invents a shot. He invents a shot. UCLA only loses one game, and they win the national championship. I'm like, well, you tried. You failed miserably, and that's why he's my greatest college basketball player ever, because of that. And number two is not even close to me.
No, number two is number two. To me, it's close because of the career that Christian Laettner had. Christian Laettner was, and look, no one hates Duke. No one hates Duke. No one hates Christian Laettner more than I do as a UConn fan, and no one hates Tate George for stepping out of bounds. Otherwise, Christian Laettner wouldn't even be on this list. If Tate George doesn't step out of bounds, UConn wins that game, and we don't get the Jamal Mashburn. We don't get the Kentucky Grant Hill throw. We don't get none of that's in Christian Laettner's corner, but everybody hates Christian Laettner. I mean, they made a movie about it. Everyone hates him.
The dude, I think that was the first and only time I really saw a college basketball player really look like a rock star. was him for that reason. It's like, okay, he's beloved in Durham. Everywhere else, everybody hates him, but he takes it, and it's like he's oblivious to it all. And it's like he's like, "Thank you very much, boo! Thank you very much."
But he owned.
Thank you very much.
He owned it, and I would love to talk to Christian Leitner and know, was he really? Was he playing that part, or I mean, he played into it, because I remember when they interviewed him after the Michigan game, the regular season game.
Yeah.
And they said, "How do you feel?" And he was like, "Keep booing me. I don't care. I hate you all." And he just walked off, and I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yes." Maybe he was just like, I'm dumb college kid, but he just had no fear. He was like, "I don't care. You can hate me. I know you all hate me. You're not supposed to like me. I play for Duke."
I love it. I loved it. Oh Lord. 6 says, Bone Thugs and Harmony is one of my favorite groups, but not not necessarily the greatest. Yeah.
Oh, they're on that list. They're on that list.
Yeah.
They're gonna be in there, and we're gonna see. Again, the thing about the Summer of Greatness that I love is that when we talk about these topics, and rap is down the way, but when we do it, if the skills don't match up, if you get hit with a skill that one of the categories for rap, I can tell you right now, is going to be speed rap, and if Bone Thugs gets that, they can run the table. They're easily going to run the table if they hit that. That's what makes it so much better than just saying, all right, well, who's the greatest? No, we got to break it down into what makes the greatest, and what makes somebody, what puts them on that list. Like when we do TV characters, or when we do TV shows, it's going to be who has the best main character, who has the best supporting cast, who has the best theme song, who has, all of those things come into play, and we don't know what the topics are. We draw them out of a hat. So it's set up to be as random as we can possibly make it, so that everybody has a shot. And I can tell you just a story from the last time we did the tournament. We did a category, I think it was most diabolical movie character of all time. And everybody, we had everybody on that list. We had Al Pacino from Devil's Advocate, who was actually the devil for most diabolical. We had Christian Bale from American Psycho on the list. We had all these cats on the list, and we had the little girl from The Orphan on the list. And nobody picked her out of anybody. Nobody would have picked her. She smoked everybody. Every category, we were like, nope, she wins. We were like, hands down, she won. We were like, oh my God. And she just smoked everybody. It was one of the funnest tournaments that we did, because it was so random and so unbelievable that we were like, how did she get through all these people? And then at the end of the year, it's fun to see, like, all right, you have Tupac Shakur versus Tom Brady as who's greater at what they did. That's where it gets really fun, when it's not the same. When it's not the same, it's all of them put together. When it's
not two in the same field.
the best movie versus the best team of all time. That's when it gets really fun at the end. But just to preview tonight's show, because I know we got a lot going on here today, but we're kicking it off with our bread and butter. We're kicking it off with best NFL player of all time, or greatest NFL player of all time. We're taking position out of the equation. We're throwing everybody from all different positions.
Okay.
And I've already got my list made up. We'll see. Like I said, if you want to be involved, by all means, listen to the show at 9:00 tonight. Call in 9:00 Eastern, and you can be live on the show. You can give us yours. You can be a judge. We take all callers, and whoever comes through, we'll find out. But to me, greatest NFL player means impact on the game. That's what's most important to me.
Okay.
And to me, it's Lawrence Taylor, and it's not even close. I've had this debate with people over the last probably 6 months. I've had this debate at the bar probably about 20 times. And I listened to guys the other day have this debate, and they were talking Randy Moss, Deion Sanders, they kept bringing up. And I was like, did you guys watch Lawrence Taylor play? Do you understand that Lawrence Taylor changed 3 different positions? He changed linebacker, defensive end, and made the left tackle the most important guy on the field.
I say 4. Those 3. And he made the tight end more important because he changed how offenses tried to block him.
Yeah.
Because regular offenses could not block him because a tight end, he was just, for some reason, he was just too strong for one tight end. For fullbacks, he was too quick. For running backs, he was too strong. And for defensive end, they were too slow. He was too fast for him. And he was too strong for some of them too. So he changed the way offenses were played and how offenses attack defenses. And for me, I could go on. I could derail the rest of this show and talk about the greatness that is Lawrence Taylor, and that I have never seen another player in any era affect the game the way Lawrence Taylor did. I most certainly could say I haven't, in the 40 years I've watched football, seen a player actually just dictate how games can be won or lost in one position greater than Lawrence Taylor. And yes, I know quarterbacks are ones who are supposedly the ones who dictate all that, but no, Lawrence Taylor to me. Whew.
Oh, the only other guy on dictating the game, the only other guy on that list is Deion Sanders, because there were games, there were multiple weeks you would go beyond even seeing a ball thrown his way.
Mm-hmm.
Deion to me was that guy, because he wouldn't even go into the defensive huddle. He would just stand there and go, "Yeah, the guy who comes on this side, I got him." He wouldn't even go in the huddle. He would just stand there. And it was the funniest thing to watch.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Would not get the ball thrown to him all game long, and sometimes many games long. But then once a ball is thrown to him, somehow he would find a way to get around the ball, bait the quarterback to throw in his direction, pick it off, and he's run the other way toward the house. And I'm like, how in the heck does he do that? But yeah, he definitely, to me, the greatest cornerback I've ever seen. And yeah, he did affect the game to the point where quarterbacks didn't throw on his side of the field. Yeah. Man, I could talk all day about this with you. But you mentioned your show tonight. Where can they find that show, sir?
Our show is on Blog Talk Radio, Fit Down Sports Show. Our show is also on, I actually did this the other day. I was showing people at the bar. We're on Spotify as well. So Spotify, again, just in the search engine, Fit Down Sports Show. We're the first. If you even just put Fit Down in on the Spotify, we're the first thing that comes up. So the easiest way to get us is Spotify and Blog Talk. But if you're on Facebook, we also have a Facebook page, so our show will be there. And if you're on Facebook, friend me and you'll get to see my face on video, because we do the Facebook Live. So there are many different ways to get at the show. We'll be doing it all summer, and like I said, we take live callers. We will take anybody. As we say on my show, as our motto since day one, tell me why you're wrong. If you have a different opinion than we do, we want to hear it. We want it. You're not going to change my opinion, but I want to know why you think your way. And I'll tell you why I'm wrong. That's always been our motto. So we indulge it with this, and that's why the Summer of Greatness it's the greatest time I ever have had on radio. Is hey, this is ours. It's our opinions. If you've got a different one, we love to hear it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, this gentleman here who has been a frequent contributor to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, well, he will continue to do that because he is back. And he will join us every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern. It is my friend Chris Dietz, and he will show that he knows more than college football, and he knows a lot about sports in general. Man, it's a pleasure to have you back, bro. Thank you so much, man.
And before I go out, I got to give a shout out as a Celtics fan. I got to give a shout out to Jimmy Butler from last night. Oh my God. You know,
that was a great performance.
I used to hate losing to the Heat as a Celtics fan. Yeah. I've never liked the Heat, from Alonzo Mourning to Tim Hardaway to the LeBron and Dwayne Wade's. I don't mind losing to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is becoming my favorite player in the current NBA right now, and he doesn't even play for my team. But what he did last night was amazing.
Yeah.
And the third quarter was just I was killing myself. I was like, all right, we're up 11. We're up 11. All of a sudden, 22-2 run, and I was like, all right, this guy. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
That lead evaporated quick. Yeah.
The Celtics went full Celtics, and you got to give a shout out to Jimmy Butler was a big reason why.
Yeah, and I did that in the first hour. I had to give him his props, and yes, we will definitely give him his props here too. He had a fantastic game last night. Chris Dietz, he is the man that is in charge of the Fifth Down Sports Show, and we are entering the Summit of Greatness with him. Chris, it's a pleasure, bro.
Always a fun time. All right, and to Brian, keep on keeping on, and we can't wait to get you back, buddy.
Definitely cannot. Three of us need to have our place back, as we've done in many times before. We will do that again. Once again, Chris Dietz of the Fit Down Sports Show. Thank you so much, man. And when we come back, Brown Sexual Confessions. That's after this on the other side. You're listening to and watching Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Back after this.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back.
when you want to talk, I'm here.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
If you can celebrate Christian McCaffrey having a 1,000 season, if you can celebrate Marshall Faulk, who had a 1,000 season by electing him into the Hall of Fame, then why can't we celebrate the guy who originated the 1,000 season with a Hall of Fame election? I'm talking about the one and only Roger Craig.
If you want some, come get some.
Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
Coming up on tomorrow's SITM with Cole Johnson, I'm having a conversation, or I was having a conversation during the break with an Irvingologist, and I'm going to have a segment. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I'm going to have a segment tomorrow that is going to be concentrated on a conversation with said Irvingologist because he simply does not believe in the facts that I'm spewing, because his head is so far up his behind, it's not even funny. Conversations with the Irvingologist. That will be a segment on tomorrow's show. I would do it today, but I don't have the time. But what I do have the time for is this.
In a world where partial greatness is celebrated and total greatness is shunned, there stands to be a figure on the lips of those who love him and those who hate him. The inane comparisons to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant continue and has existed since 2003. There is no end in sight, for the battle between those who unconditionally love and unconditionally hate him wages on. These are their stories. Welcome to the Bronzexual Confessions.
You know, sometimes you just run across some things that just make you laugh, right? So we are now 2 full rounds into the playoffs. We have gone through the first round. We've gone through the conference semifinal round. Now we are in the conference final round. And it has to be with these Bronzexuals about LeBron James. Team is not in the playoffs. He doesn't even factor into the 2022 playoffs. Yet it has to be about him. I mean, they just drop to their knees quicker than a woman praying to God. And they just simply grab the joystick and stroke so mightily and so fast. When it comes to this man, that objectivity is just tossed completely out of the window. So I had a conversation with a Bronzexual. And with this conversation with the Bronzexual, I'm going to lay out 2 things, as I've actually had 2 conversations with him. The first one was, as you all are well aware, the conference finals now will have an MVP. The Eastern Conference MVP will be named in the honor of Larry Bird. The Western Conference final MVP will be named in honor of Magic Johnson. I think those are great choices, considering that you have a lifelong Celtic in Bird and a lifelong Laker in Magic, and neither guy played for another team, and neither guy played in another conference, and both guys were drafted by the team that they played on. So I had a Bronzexual say to me, quote, "Now if it were me, I would have had Kobe if Kobe wasn't named on an award. He is named in posthumous honor for the All-Star MVP. He said if he wasn't on that award, I would put him in the Western Conference Award and LeBron James for the Eastern Conference Award. Close quote. Forget the looks.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Hell to the no. Hell to the no. To the no, no, no. Listen.
Neither one would work, although I have a huge amount of respect for Kobe, because even though Kobe was a lifetime and lifelong Laker, he was drafted as a Hornet. So technically, he couldn't be in the Western Conference because he actually was a Hornet before he was a Magic. The Lakers. The Lakers didn't draft him. They traded for him in the draft, but they did not draft him. And as for LeBron James, he now is in his 5th year in the Western Conference. He played 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and now he's in his 5th year as a Los Angeles Laker and in the Western Conference. So he has played in both conferences. He can't have that name on his award either. But the names that you have on the award are just. So he got upset and said, didn't you just see me say that I said if Kobe wasn't named on that? I said, yes, I saw it. And I still answered accordingly for that very reason. I love Kobe. I respect LeBron, but neither man should be on that award, because if you're going to say who was the best in the Eastern Conference, who's the best in the Western Conference, pick 2 guys who've only played in that conference and who, when you look at the conference lore, you see their names strewn all over the place. And only all over that place. So for those who think that both LeBron and Kobe should be listed as Eastern and Western Conference MVPs,
Bitch, please.
Now that takes me to the second conversation I had with the Brownsexual, and I really enjoyed this one. So after Giannis Antetokounmpo fell, and I say not the Bucks, but Giannis himself fell to the Celtics. Oh my gosh, Lord have mercy. I probably have to introduce a third conversation I had with Brownsexual too. So yeah, this Brownsexual basically still is a prisoner of the moment. And in his prisoner of the moment, he basically said that this Brownsexual said that Jason Tatum is better than Giannis Antetokounmpo because he had a horrible Game 7. I said, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, an awful Game 7. I said, well, let me see. Giannis, Game 7. And correct me if I'm wrong, chat. In Game 7, Giannis Antetokounmpo, yes, I know his team lost 109-81. But Giannis himself, because this guy actually said Giannis had had an awful game. 25 points, 20 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals and a block. So yeah, that was an awful performance, right? I know he was off from the field shooting wise, right? But awful? No. And then to have him defend himself, he said that, no, well, Glenn Williams outscored him in that game, which that was true. Glenn Williams scored 27, Giannis scored 25. The original post this Brownsexual put forth said, though, quote, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been exposed. Jason Tatum is better than Mr. Antetokounmpo. Close quote. So after the Glenn Williams point, and he actually said to me, you're talking about this. Giannis is the 3rd best player. You need to step off his. I had to respond to this Brownsexual because he was not understanding the memo. I said to him, so you mean to tell me Williams is better than Giannis because he outscored him, right? So by your logic, that means that Grant Williams is better than Jason Tatum because he outscored Jason Tatum too, and so did Giannis.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
It's just when I saw the logic just come out in pure plain view, all I could just say is,
Bitch, are you for real?
Sometimes I just don't understand if logic. No. I have to even. Sometimes I have to understand if a brain is in this human brain. It is utterly ridiculous with these takes because they seem to not have brain power.
What?
They seem to not have any brain matter.
What?
They seem to lack focus.
What?
They seem to lack knowing how to put together a sentence.
What?
They don't understand logic.
What?
They just simply conclude one thing to another in a stream of consciousness.
What?
They have no idea how to think.
What?
They're dumb.
What?
They're stupid.
What?
They're ignorant.
What?
They're first grade education level.
What?
Fifth graders can beat them in thought process.
What?
Fifth graders can debate them and clean their closet with what they know.
What?
Fifth graders don't even have to know about LeBron James and NBA basketball, but they will do better than these bronsexuals. That is how bad they are. And that's definitely how bad this individual is. Thank you. What? Thank you, Ryan. Sick says, yes, the bronsexuals, the gift that keeps on giving. And Sick also says, logic doesn't factor into their thought process. If there's any thought and process at all. Sometimes that's what I believe, man. But get this. That wasn't the worst of them all. Here is the funniest conversation I had with a bronsexual this past week. We got to the first round. We got through the conference semifinal round. Now we are in the conference final round, and I see this. Giannis lost by 30 in Game 7. KD got swept in the first round. Embiid choked in front of a home crowd. Steph has been getting carried all playoffs. Jokic got bounced in the first round. Ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James is still the best basketball player in the world.
Right.
You gotta be kidding me. Really?
You cannot say filth, flying filth in front of people.
All of this, the first two rounds of the playoffs, this month of playoffs we've seen thus far, have you bronsexuals conclude that he is still the best basketball player in the world today?
You for real?
Oh my gosh. Sick. You are right, man. You are right on the money. Logic doesn't factor into the thought process if there's any thought process at all. Yes. Sick goes on to say, bronsexuals as a whole are rationalizing based on their emotions. There's no logic or thinking at all. Deets, which I love you, brother. He says, classic quote from Squints from the Sandlot. If you were thinking, you wouldn't have thought that. Andrew says, oh my gosh. Andrew says, but LBG didn't even make the plan. My point precisely, brother. Six says, I looked at the pic of LeBron and Chappelle's show. Oprah sketch comes to mind. I don't know what threw me off, the commentary or the picture of LeBron sporting his rings while looking as though he's trying to decide if he wants to be the game. Well, no, probably trying to think he wants to be the game and not himself. I'm thinking, really, man, come on. But the best basketball player in the world, and you didn't, as Andrew actually opined correctly, you didn't make the play-in, But you brownsexuals say that he's the best player in the world. That's why, Tyler, the utter blasphemy. No. Beavis, you say it better.
You're a stupid dumbass.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Is LeBron James the greatest basketball player today? The second greatest. The third greatest. The fourth greatest. The fifth greatest. Not today. No. He's not there anymore. That's just, the ship has sailed. Because if he was one of the 5 best players, that 38-6 that he had to complete his regular season this past year, where you all marveled that we have I'm sorry, let me do this correctly. Now, you all marveled, quote, we have never seen a basketball player 37 years old do what LeBron has done. Oh my gosh, the level of greatness is supreme. Close quote.
Bitch, are you for real?
Whenever I hear you all just gawk at what LeBron James does, that's how I hear you. I hear you, tears streaming down your face and some other object streaming down your lips. I just do not quite grasp why you have such a love affair with this man. He is a basketball player. Not a romantic lover, not your plug. Oh, speaking about plugs, I actually think this is what you all do when you do these hot, cold, lukewarm, whatever you want to call in the temperature takes that you have about LeBron being wonderful and every other basketball player in the NBA sucking.
So good.
I'm loving you all in the chat. You all such fire. 6 says, I like that quote, Deets. And he also goes on to say, I pray LeBron doesn't drop an album looking at that picture. He's had more than enough time on the mic. 100, brother. Ryan says, LBJ was the greatest player maybe 10 years ago, but not today. Thank you, man. Precisely my point. Precisely my point. 6 says, it's called living vicariously through LeBron, Cole. That's what they're doing. Ooh. Sick. Let me do this right now because that's a drop the mic moment right there.
Damn!
100, brother. 100. That's what they do. That's what these idiot browser sections doing. Yes. They're like, oh my gosh. Yes. Hercules. We can't leap, but you can, LeBron. We can't dribble through our legs, but even though you do it horribly, you can, LeBron. Oh my gosh. We can't score 30 points in the NBA, but you can. Oh my gosh. We can't do what you do, LeBron, but you can, and we can live through you. Oh, yay. That is how you all are, brownsexuals. Deed says, using that Giannis logic, JJ Barea is a better player than LeBron James based on the Mavs championship series. Thank you, Deeds. Thank you. Thank you for proving how illogical these idiots are. That's exactly the thought process I had when I saw that. I'm like, so you're coming back and saying that Tatum is better than Giannis is saying that Grant Williams scored more points. That is what you come up with. I was like, do you also realize he scored more points in Game 7 than Jason Tatum too, right? So your point is just done because you had to opine that and not think it through. Rick,
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, it's just too much, man. 6 says their fanboyism is as painful to look at as DJ Pooh's Black Eye and Friday. It's horrible. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me try to be as serious as I possibly can be, but it's going to be extremely hard because you all have no brain matter. LeBron James could not win the scoring championship this year. Why? Because he missed too many games to qualify. Oh, and with the point total he ended up having, Joel Embiid passed him by anyway. So he wasn't going to win the scoring title. And I knew many of you bronze sexuals would be like, yay, my champion, my man. He's going to win the scoring championship. Screw the playoffs. He's going to prove he's the greatest because he is the best scorer this year. And he will be the best scorer of all time when he becomes the greatest, most prolific scorer next year. Yay! My man looks so sexy. That's how ridiculous you all sound. LeBron will enter his 20th year. He cannot any longer play at least 70 games, nor does he want to play that many, because he feels as though he needs to save himself for mid-April, late April, and June. Mid-April, late April, May, and June. So that will mean that he will probably miss between 15 and 20 games purposefully. And he might miss some of them by legit injury. But he's not going to be the player that we saw when he was in Miami. He's not even going to be the player we saw in his second stint with the Cavs. You'd want him to be the player that he was even in his first stint there. And I'm talking about the first 5 years. I'm not talking about the last 3. You'd want the first 5 because he'd be healthy enough to be on the court. He won't be as healthy to do it. And, oh, by the way, Father Time is still undefeated. Don't look at Tom Brady. Look at LeBron James. His body has been deteriorating more and more by the year. And I want you to look at this list thoroughly, bronzesexuals. Look at it thoroughly. Giannis is a straight-up man. Durant is about to be on the down of his career now. Embiid is about to enter his prime. Steph is now entering the twilight of his career. And Jokic, that dude is a stud. He now is a back-to-back MVP winner. Oh, and Steph, I'm going to say something that's going to irk all of you bronzesexuals bad. LeBron James is not the most revolutionary player in the NBA in the past 20 years. No, sir. No, sir. Now, he may have changed how business is done, but he is not the most influential and most revolutionary player in terms of dictating play on the court in the last 20 years. No. The player who is the most revolutionary in the last 20 years, his name is Wardell Stephen Curry II.
What?
His name is Wardell Stephen Curry II.
What?
I said his name is Wardell.
What?
Stephen.
What?
Curry.
What?
Steph.
What?
Chef.
What?
Curry.
What?
Curry.
What?
Curry.
What?
Curry.
What?
Curry.
What?
Doggone it, I said Wardell Stephen Curry is the most revolutionary basketball player in the last 20 years. And if you don't want to accept that, bronzesexuals, then do us all a favor and don't watch the product anymore. Because you're watching the product is making our IQ levels drop. That is how horrible it is. Six says, by the way, that was a great impression of Mrs. Clump, Cole. Ryan says, Hercules. That's how they sound, though, Sick. Seriously, man. When I pictured these idiots, they sound like Mrs. Clump from the Nutty Professor. That is exactly how they sound and look. Sad, man. Six says scoring titles, rebounding titles, defensive player of the year, or MVP honors, or individual awards. Thank you, sir. They cannot compensate for the championship, which is a team award. 100%. 100%. So you could try to big up LeBron because he had a great year at 37, but guess what he did? Guess what he did that most 37-year-olds did too? Yeah, not make the playoffs. All right. I want you to look at this list one more time, Brown Sexuals. Look at it. Understand something. Giannis is doing something LeBron can't do anymore. KD still is a better all-around shooter than LeBron. Embiid, he actually is not afraid to be in the post. Steph, well, he can run circles around you. He can just shoot all over you. And he has revolutionized the game and you haven't. Nikola Jokic, this dude is doing things that people claim that you're doing, but at an even better clip now. You know, a big man who can handle the rock, who can distribute, who can give you rebounds, and who can score. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Well, that guy in Denver, that Serbian, he's doing it at a better clip than LeBron is. Why? Because unlike you, sir, Jokic can take a team that its number 3 player only played 9 games in a year, and its number 2 player didn't play at all and still made the playoffs. Can LeBron say that? And you could say, well, he did that when he was in his first stint with the Cavs. Yes, I know. 22, I know. Game 5, 2007 Eastern Conference Finals, 29 out of 30 points, 25 points in a row. I know. And they went to the finals to get swept by the Spurs with basically LeBron James and bubblegum. I know. I've actually said to you, Brown Sexuals, because I've tried to have compassion for you, that I give him in the 6 losses in the finals, I give that a mulligan. Because the other 5, there's no excuses why he lost all of them. None, zero. Because he set himself up to have the better team, and 5 of those times he took L's. So to me, there's no excuse. Ryan says Nikola Jokic is the unicorn Kristaps Porzingis was supposed to be. Yeah. People thought Kristaps was supposed to be that. It turns out that Jokic is that. Yeah, exactly, Ryan. Great call on that, brother. There's no hope for you, Brown Sexuals, because you will argue us till we're blue in the face. That LeBron is better than a lot of the league today. And during the first round, one of you had the nerve to say that there's something missing in the playoffs because LeBron wasn't in it, right? There's something missing. And I said, you're right. There is something missing because LeBron isn't in it. And that something missing is boredom. I'm so glad we do not have to have the LeBron James watch every game, every day until he got eliminated from the playoffs. Well, LeBron James scratched his balls on the way to your arena this afternoon. LeBron James yawned when he was walking in the tunnel. LeBron James actually took a crap after the game. LeBron James ate eggs when he woke up. LeBron James is bumping Little Uzi Vert when he's listening to his Beats headphone. It would just be just that all day long, all night long, until the Lakers got eliminated. To hear none of that makes me so happy. I'm so glad that we were not subjected to that absolute garbage of coverage of what is LeBron James doing next. Because the only section of people who care about what LeBron James is doing next is your oversexed behinds. And now you have to concern yourself with that. And that's the question you'll ask yourself day in and day out for the next 5 months. And I hope you agonize with that thought process as we who are healthier and more well-adjusted to seeing how the NBA rolls are so good without your king ruling the NBA. You thirsty heifers.
In a world where partial greatness is celebrated and total greatness is shunned, there stands to be a figure on the lips of those who love him and those who hate him. The inane comparisons to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant continue and has existed since 2003. There is no end in sight, for the battle between those who unconditionally love and unconditionally hate him wages on. These are their stories. In a world where logic and sense flies completely out the window, while purple and yellow glasses are donned, rises a figure who encourages ridiculous, undying loyalty.
Caught them cheeks, brown sexuals.
Good Lord, I'm about to throw up. This has been yet another installment of The Bronzexual Confessions.
Before I leave, this is why I love the SITM fam. Boy, the chat is lit. The chat is lit up. I love it. Six says he took those L's but refused to hold them. Instead, LeBron kept blaming it on his teammates. One of these Bronzexual confessions, I'm going to actually point out how Bronzexuals model his behavior. And that right here is one of the biggest ways they do model his behavior. And I sincerely and seriously mean that. Ryan says, tonight on SportsCenter, Jimmy Butler drops 50 on the Celtics. But first, LeBron James spotted a ladybug on a leaf. Details at 11. It's that ridiculous, Ryan. Yes, bro. It's that ridiculous. Six says, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not looking forward to his eventual Hall of Fame induction. I look forward to missing it. Oh, good Lord. Don't. Oh, Lord. It's going. Oh, Lord. They will have. It will be a big to-do when they announce it to him. It'll be a big to-do when it's officially announced. It'll be a big to-do because they'll have a countdown clock to when he's going to have his induction. And then, of course, they'll probably have it being broadcast on ABC. Lord. Andrew says, Ryan, too true. And I agree with Andrew, Ryan. Too true, brother. Well, that does it for this episode of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. You can catch me on Cole Sports with a Z on YouTube. That's youtube.com/C/Cole Sports with a Z. You go to the birthplace of the Bronzexual Confessions and other sort of segments you see here. And there's other segments that I don't do here that I do there. And to the chat, I have much love to you. I mean, you all gave me life today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to Chris Dietz, part of the man who operates the Fit Down Sports Podcast and Sports Show. We will have him every Wednesday at 9 a.m. He is absolutely a dream of a guest. And I always have fun every time I speak with him. It doesn't matter the topic. It doesn't matter the topic, doesn't matter the time. I just have too much fun speaking with him. He's an awesome, awesome guy. So thank you again, Dietz. And thank you again, Brian, for giving me this platform here and sharing it with you. I appreciate it. And to all of you, I have to just say the following. Take care. God bless. Make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're just simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. That's what I'm doing. That's what the chat's doing. I know that's what Brian's doing. That's what Wise and my man Cool and my man Chris Space and Sam of the Shady Sports Network and, of course, BS3. And so they're doing. That's what we're hoping you're doing, too. Andrew says, have a great day, everybody. Chris Dietz says, LeBron James' destruction of coaches shows how good Eric Spoelstra is as a coach. That will be another topic of another Bronze Session Confessions. 6 says, have a great day as always, Cole. Much love to you as always. God bless you. And God bless you too, Sick. And God bless all of you. You all make my day. And you don't know how much you make my day because I appreciate and love every one of you. For all of us here at Cole, see, there we go. For all of us here at Snowman in the Morning, Cole Johnson, we will review Mavericks Warriors Game 1 preview, the Celtics and Heat Game 2, more NFL, more Olympics. Until tomorrow, see ya. Thank you for tuning in to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, the hottest of hot takes and the coldest of cold, hard facts.